Hey YouTubers, this is another video from me, Evelyn. Today we're going to be reviewing a new Korean drama series, Tell Me That You Love Me. I've seen the first 2 episodes and let me tell you what a beautiful story they're setting up. The premise is about a deaf painter, the character name of Cha Jin-woo, and an inspiring actress of Jung Mo-yeon. Now, the story starts off that Jung Mo-yeon, she goes to a Jeju island for a small part in a movie, because we see through flashbacks that she started off as an air hostess, but she didn't find that job fulfilling, and she, out of the blue moon, she drops that job and lives with her friend, and she's there working in a cafe while pursuing her dream to be an actress. But then again, there's a lot of confidence issues on her side. So the first episode sets off that Jung Mo-yeon, she goes to Jeju Island for a small part in the film, and while practicing her lines on the beach, she encounters the deaf painter of Cha Jin-woo. He's there for his own purposes of drawing, scenery work and stuff, and they connect when she ends up dropping her scarf and he picks it up. Through the episode, we see Cha Jin-woo, of course he's deaf, he doesn't say anything, and we can kind of tell the different, well, every country I guess is the same, that saying that there's more hearing people than deaf people, and what this show is beautifully telling us difficulties that people with hearing impairment have with trying to connect with other people. They connect on the beach, he goes and gives her scarf back, and then we see that he's there taking photos of the scenery, Cha Jin-woo, and he goes and sees her filming, and he goes and makes that connection that she's an actress. Things happen, and they're staying in the same hotel, and a fire breaks out. But in the midst of that, there's more interactions between the female lead and the male lead, because there was an incident where she's trying to get, a soft drink from the vending machine on the island, but it doesn't work. They almost end up taking her money. And when Cha Jin-woo goes there, she doesn't know he's deaf because he doesn't advertise it. He has no need to do that. And then she kind of starts to gauge that maybe he has a hearing impairment, but she brushes it off when she's trying to tell him the vending machine is broken, don't use it. And he ends up getting the can of Coke, let's say, that was hers and his, and he goes and gives the other one to her. So when they go to the cafe, a fire breaks out and everybody's going out, running like headless chicken. And in that moment, she starts to gauge through other things that she's seen of him when he was also in the cafe, because she saw that as well, that he can't hear. She puts 2 and 2 together. Now, how clever. I would have never thought about that. So she runs up to the top of the cafe where he's there outside drawing the scenery, and she tries to let him know there's something wrong. He has no idea what is going on, of course, so he smiles politely, and when he goes down the stairs, he sees a big gulf of fire. And then we get a flashback. The assumption is that when he was a teenager, a fire broke out in his house, and of course, him being deaf, the assumption is he didn't hear his mother's cries for help. And of course, that's going to traumatize any kid, that due to his disability, he feels like he let his mom die. So he's there stuck in that trauma. We can almost see a PTSD moment. And Jung Mo-yeon, she sees that he's distressed, and she goes and grabs his face to let him know that she's there. And she happens to use the scarf to put over his face so him not to take in so much of the carbon monoxide. And then when he wakes up, he's there in the hospital and she's there unconscious, recovering, and they have drips in their arms. And he gets up and he understands, he's first shocked and he understands what's happened, and then afterwards he waits for her to wake up, and then they start having the conversation. She understands that he's deaf and they start to communicate on some level. In that moment, that connection is formed, because Cha Jin-woo goes and sees Jung Mo-yeon for who she is, because he sees everything with his eyes, has to analyze everything, and she finds that connection with him. So they depart, they go back to Seoul. Well, before that, she wants to meet him again, but she doesn't have the chance. She starts learning bits of sign language, and when they go back to Seoul, the both of them, by an off-chance meeting, she's walking by the bus stop and she sees him there. And she's trying to get his attention, but of course he can't hear. But I think another young woman, who was in the bus, they're standing next to him, to Cha Jin-woo, I think maybe alerted him, and then as where she thinks, oh my god, I've lost him again, they meet. She's standing one end of the street and another. Now this bit was just beautiful shot, beautiful scenery, the dialogue was on point. And this actor of Jung Woo-sung, I've only seen him in a movie called Hunt. But to see this actor in this kind of light, I was like, wow, we've been sleeping on this actor. Because imagine, this series is 16 episodes, so he's not going to talk for most of it. So he's going to rely on being really authentic, using Korean sign language, expressing everything from his eyes, his emotions, his body language, everything. And in that moment, he's left stunned when on the other street, Jung Moo-young, she starts saying in sign language that it's nice to meet him, and she was glad that she was able to meet him again. And the end of episode 1, it's that realization that there is somebody in this world that's willing to put the effort to get to know him. And with episode 2, it's like they've already exchanged numbers, and it's kind of like there's an attraction there on the both of them, but for understandable reasons, Ja Ji-eun is very hesitant, very afraid. Of course, he has a hearing impairment. And we find out in the art gallery in which Jung Moo-young's friend is working, Ja Ji-eun's there working as a Western painter teacher, and he's teaching also hearing impaired high schoolers. And it's kind of like fate. You gotta love about these Korean shows, they love to put fate, the subplot of fate going into it. And that's when they meet each other again, and she's able to like have more of a conversation. But I'm gonna jump back a bit. Ja Ji-eun, he had a commission to do, I think, some background sceneries for the album cover of this band. And he remembers when they were on the island, Jung Moo-young went and was humming a song, and then she goes and says, oh, I like this artist, and she shows him the phone. Have you ever heard of the artist? Which is a bit ironic. I think the main sticking points for episode 3 and 4 is Jung Moo-young has to realize it's got to be really difficult for her to be in a relationship with him because it's got to be the social stigmas. Sometimes she may be unconsciously insensitive to his difficulties. He might not be able to experience everything that she might be in that time, but I think they can navigate it. When you have a connection, you shouldn't, if that connection is that pure, you shouldn't just dismiss it. You should fight for it like in any relationship. So when he has the tickets, he's like, remembers that. And then when he meets her again and he's showing her the art room where he's teaching, he says, oh, there's these tickets here. And she's like, all of a sudden, like, she's a bit like, okay, like, of course he's deaf, and she's like thinking who would give a deaf person these tickets, and he goes and indicates through sign language that he drew it and that he's gonna give it to her. And then unbeknownst to him, he wants to go out with her to the concert, so he says like, even though I can't hear, I can feel the vibrations, like X, Y, and Z, or like the music, other aspects. So he's kind of bluffing a little bit, but not so much, because he's generally interested. Now the part of episode 2 that just gave me like anger. So after Cha Jing-woon has a bad night of sleep because he has a recurring nightmare about what happened to his mum in the fire, he wakes up and then he goes to his friend. We tell from the dialogue that his friend is friend from childhood, and he kind of tries to, and he knows sign language as well, so that's a plus. And he kind of wants his friend Cha Jun not to suffer so much. So as he goes out, Cha Jun, he goes and finds a cat that is in perfect condition, abandoned, and he takes it to the vet. The other part, which I found to be like more helpful to the main lead actor or the character, he uses his mobile phone for people to speak into, so he's able to read what they're saying. So he finds out that the cat is in perfect condition, so he decides to, keep it for himself, the cat. And when he goes back to his home, he finds a little boy, a neighborhood boy there, and he asks what's the name of the cat, and he makes a sign in sign language. I assume it's the name of the cat, or it means cat. I need to have a look then again. But the grandma, prejudice, goes and starts saying, wow, don't do those hand gestures, use your mouth. Like, does she know that her neighbor is deaf? I don't know. But then again, he doesn't want to be advertising his disability to everybody. So we jump for it, and like him and Cha Moo-young, they promise to meet the next day in front of the concert hall so they can go in and see this band playing. But before that could happen, unfortunately, the young little boy, curious, he was walking with his grandma, and then he tells his grandma, I want to go home. And she's like, go home first. The little boy walks past Cha Jing-woon's house, and then sees the cat, and of course Cha Ji-hoon's there. He doesn't hear the boy going in. He takes off his shoes, and the shoes get hidden and his bag get hidden behind his wooden frames because he's a painter. And the grandma's there going, "Where's my grandson?" And everybody running around like headless chickens. And when Cha Ji-hoon goes in and finds the boy there, and then of course the little boy starts crying and everything, and then the police is there and all of that, and the discrimination from the police. They came to when he's in the police station and he's desperate, has the date with Jung Moo-yoon. He's there waiting for the interpreter, and when he does, he goes and signs. The interpreter, a good thing, because of course the interpreter needs to interpret everything with the sign language, everything, and he goes and he tells the interpreter, "I had no idea the kid was in the house." She says that to the cop, and the cop says, "Well, you didn't know for 5 hours, what about the shoe?" And he implied Cha Ji-wook went and hid the shoes in the bag on purpose. When I saw that just infuriated me. But then again, I don't live in Korea. This is a TV show for Christ's sake, but if this is an accurate portrayal of how society sees people with disabilities, that to me is just awful. They're people as well, and they need to be respected as people. It's not their fault that whatever circumstances happened to them, that they had an impairment, for better or worse. And by the end of it, he sorts it out, and by episode 2, as he's running to the concert hall, he's devastated knowing that she's gone. Obviously, it's too long she went. And then we see Jung Moo-yoon, she's about to go off on the bus, but she has a change of heart. She walks back and she finds Cha Ji-hoon devastated, and she walks up to him and he's stunned that she came back. And then she goes and says, because Cha Ji-hoon can read lips, and she says, why are you so late? And then he goes in, because the good thing is, well, that similar to Twinkling Watermelon, another similar product about deafness, being hearing impaired, we hear Cha Ji-hoon's inner monologue. Throughout episode 1 to 2, we do hear his inner monologue. So he goes and says, I wanted to say anything, but then again, the sound that would come out from my mouth, I just wouldn't mean anything to me in my ears. So he starts signing that he's sorry for being late, because Jung Moo-yoon, I think she's carrying on learning sign language because she wants to get to know him. And then he says, maybe I should have not made this promise. Even if we went together to this concert, I wouldn't enjoy the same way that you would. And I think she kind of understood what the point. She's not dumb. She understands that probably he's got to feel his confidence is probably going to be extremely low, because he's got to feel that he's not going to be enough for her. So at the end, we have a powerful moment. She says, there's many things we can do together since we missed it. Why don't you hear me sing? And then she says for him to show his hand and put it to her neck. And then he was able to hear the vibrations when she started to sing. And then we have the beautiful end that she says, I think there's a lot of things we can do together. And then we have the end of episode 1 and 2. What a beautiful series so far. It's just the acting, the music, the ambience. It just, you want both of these characters to be together and overcome the obstacles. And I can't wait for Jung Moo-yoon to not investigate Cha Ji-hoon, but to help him in confidence, but at the same time for her to be not so naive, because that's got to be the point. He doesn't want to feel like that she's gonna have to take care of him. He wants to feel equal in that relationship. Anyway, this is the end of the review. Please have a look at this series wherever you can. You can see this series online. K-drama fans, for God's sake, you can see it. See it, support the series, and let me know your thoughts down below. As I leave you always, stay safe.